The story begins by showing an illegal ship where a group of captives is being held to sell their organs. Among them is a little girl who is about to be taken away by traffickers when a man named Han Ji-hyuk, a National Intelligence Service agent, comes to her rescue. Ji-hyuk fights alone against the criminals on the ship, determined to protect the girl. After the incident, the police arrive and identify Ji-hyuk. The NIS is shocked to discover one of their agents among the victims, as he was previously pronounced dead while on a mission. The NIS moves quickly to repatriate Ji-hyuk, who was once a member of an elite team of agents called Hokyeon, which operates under the Foreign Intelligence Bureau. Hokyeon is a secret task force formed by the NIS, and Ji-hyuk is their best field agent who successfully executed several NIS targets or projects abroad. However, last year, Ji-hyuk disappeared without a trace while investigating the deaths of 3 NIS agents stationed in China and North Korea. It was later discovered that they were dealing with a drug cartel that circulated drugs in North Korea. When Ji-hyuk was almost done with his duties, 2 members of Hokyeon and Ji-hyun mysteriously disappeared and were pronounced dead. Ji-hyuk's sudden emergence causes a stir among the NIS's top brass. Upon examination, it is discovered that the wounds on Ji-hyuk's body were caused by long periods of confinement and torture. His blood contains many neurochemicals and drugs that can affect the brain and erase memories. Researchers suggest that someone may have injected the substance into him, causing him to lose his memory. Ji-hyuk's superiors, Do Jin-suk and Kang Pil-ho, are present during his lie detector test. However, the questions asked by the examiner imply that Ji-hyuk may have been involved in the deaths of 2 other NIS agents who served with him a year ago. This angers Ji-hyuk, causing him to rebel and almost attack the interrogator. The test results indicate that Ji-hyuk is not lying. Ji-hyuk's reappearance is accompanied by rumors that he leaked his agent list a year ago. However, there are also beliefs that he is the only one who can save the current elite NIS team. Jin-suk orders Pil-ho to recover Ji-hyuk's memory immediately. She herself doubts whether Ji-hyuk genuinely lost his memory or not. Pil-ho requests Ji-hyuk be released from any medical examinations. However, the doctor initially refuses as Ji-hyuk has PTSD and his condition is unstable. Despite the doctor's concerns, she has no choice but to comply with the NIS's orders. After reuniting with his colleague So Soo-yeon, who is the girlfriend of his deceased colleague Oh Kyung-sok, Ji-hyuk is assigned to a field support team at the NIS Crime Information Center under the leadership of an agent named Dong Kyeon. He is paired with his new partner Yoo Jae, a bright young woman with a degree in chemistry who successfully joined the organization at the age of 21 and has received high evaluations from both superiors and colleagues. Returning to his apartment, Ji-hyuk discovers a mysterious code that leads him to a locker containing a flash drive with a recording of himself warning to be vigilant and suspicious of anyone in their organization due to the presence of a traitor. Ji-hyuk erased his own memories to aid in the search for the traitor and deliberately left out certain details in the recording to avoid prejudicing himself and obstructing the investigation. However, he still needs one final piece of the puzzle to identify the traitor. His list of suspects includes his colleague So Soo-yeon, team leader Dong Kyeon, and superiors Do Jin-suk and Kang Pil-ho, all of whom arouse his suspicion. In the meantime, Ji-hyuk is tasked by the deputy commissioner to investigate the Huaiyang Gang, a notorious drug cartel from China that is planning to enter South Korea. Ji-hyuk is chosen for the case due to his previous encounter with the gang. However, the investigation is complicated by the deaths of 2 NIS agents who were previously assigned to the case. It is suspected that their identities were leaked. Meanwhile, Dong Kyeon, another NIS agent, has already captured Jang Gwang-chol, a high-ranking member of the Huaiyang Gang, and several related individuals, including their driver. Ji-hyuk decides to start his investigation from inside the gang by interrogating Gwang-chol. He uses extreme measures to extract information, and to his surprise, Gwang-chol recognizes him. On his way home, Ji-hyuk receives a missed call from Jae, a colleague who informs him that the cell phone found at the location of Gwang-chol's arrest has been analyzed. Jae sends Ji-hyuk a file containing a video of him that was taken at the port some time ago. Jae suspects that the owner of the phone is someone who knows about Ji-hyuk. At noon, a group of Huaiyang gang members starts a riot at the police station where Gwang-chol is being held. Ji-hyuk, who is still troubled by the incident, decides to go back to see Gwang-chol after noticing something from the tattoo image. He realizes that the gang is planning to free Gwang-chol and another known driver. However, the man posing as the driver is actually the real leader of the Huaiyang gang, Hwang Mo-sol. As they are making their escape, Ji-hyuk intercepts the gang's vehicle and gives chase. After finding himself in the middle of a high-speed chase that ends in a car accident, Ji-hyuk must be willing to let the leader of the Huaiyang gang escape. Despite being injured, Ji-hyuk is determined to continue his investigation into the Huaiyang gang. When he reviews the CCTV footage at the police station, he discovers that one of the gang members, Lee Cheon-gil, was his former informant in China. Ji-hyuk believes that Cheon-gil can help him restore his lost memories and decides to track him down. He enlists the help of Jae, a skilled hacker, to locate Cheon-gil's whereabouts. Together, they find Cheon-gil in a hidden location and engage in a violent altercation with the Hwaeong gang members. Cheon-gil manages to escape, but not before revealing a massive drug smuggling operation in South Korea. He leaves Ji-hyuk a stack of dealer addresses with serial numbers that may lead to a breakthrough in the investigation. Jae decodes the serial number, revealing it to be the container number for the upcoming shipment of drugs. Ji-hyuk rushes to the dock, hoping to catch the smugglers in the act. However, instead of finding drugs, he is ambushed by an enemy with a group of conspirators. Meanwhile, Cheon-gil is taken into custody. Ji-hyuk realizes that the situation is dire and he does not want to risk Cheon-gil's life. He decides to surrender himself to Mo-seol. In his hideout, Mo-seol has hired experts from a North Korean pharmaceutical factory to make drugs with prescriptions written on tattoos on their bodies. However, Ji-hyuk, who is on a mission to stop Mo-seol, has a secret plan in case things go wrong. He has swallowed a capsule-shaped GPS that cannot be detected unless his stomach is dissected. When Mo-seol's men attack, Ji-hyuk takes advantage of their surprise and defeats them. However, Ji-hyuk's partner Cheon-gil is severely injured and reveals that someone came to kill him after he dialed Ji-hyuk's NIS number. Cheon-gil was warned not to trust anyone, making Ji-hyuk suspicious of those around him. As Mo-seol's men are about to attack Ji-hyuk again, Jae arrives and cripples one of the attackers. Ji-hyuk is intrigued by Jae's background and wonders why she has suddenly become his partner. He doesn't know that Jae has a personal motive for joining his mission, which is to uncover the truth behind her father's death, who may have been related to Ji-hyuk. Meanwhile, Ji-hyuk receives a note about Soo-yeon, stating that she belongs to the category of at-risk agents due to her psychiatric evaluation results from several years ago. Dong-kyun reveals that Soo-yeon had dated someone inside the organization 4 years ago and is now depressed due to the past experiences of her colleague. At the same time, Jae is deeply involved in the case of a North Korean defector named Jong Ki-seon. She discovers that someone has forged Ki-seon's entry and exit records into North Korea. Jae also uncovers the identity of a NIS dark agent named Chong Cheon-woo, who acts as an informant. To lure him out, Ji-hyuk devises a plan and Jae helps him identify Cheon-woo based on photos. However, the case is suddenly taken over by Soo-yeon, whom Jae suspects have a special connection to Cheon-woo. Jae shares her concerns with Ji-hyuk, but before they can meet, Cheon-woo's men attack Jae and put her in danger. Ji-hyuk receives a call from Cheon-woo and begins a car chase to rescue Jae, only to find out that it was a trick to test his psyche. Jae was actually in the trunk of her own car and sustained minor injuries. Ji-hyuk decides to confront Soo-yeon about her suspicious behavior, and she confesses that she owed a debt to someone and couldn't refuse their request. However, before she can reveal who this person is, someone shoots her in front of Ji-hyuk. Soo-yeon is rushed to the hospital for surgery, while Ji-hyuk undergoes interrogation and is seen on CCTV as the shooter. It is revealed that Ji-hyuk was being manipulated by the real shooter and was not responsible for Soo-yeon's attack. Before losing consciousness, Soo-yeon warns Ji-hyuk not to trust anyone, including Pil-ho. Ji-hyuk is confused and shocked by the CCTV footage showing him shooting Soo-yeon, his superior at the NIS. He begins to suspect his boss, Pil-ho, after recalling Soo-yeon's message that he cannot be trusted. Ji-hyuk decides to leave, and news of the shooting quickly spreads within the organization. However, Jae doesn't believe that Ji-hyuk could have committed the crime and secretly meets him. She shows him pictures of her father, a missing agent, who disappeared in the same place where Ji-hyuk was last seen. Ji-hyuk recognizes the man in the pictures as the likely perpetrator of the missing agent case. Jae tends to Ji-hyuk's wounds and they bond over their shared experience of searching for missing loved ones. Ji-hyuk eventually falls asleep, feeling comforted by Jae's presence. The next day, Jae receives a mysterious internal project number that could help Ji-hyuk solve the puzzle. After researching, they discover that it refers to a deepfake technology project that was previously handled by the NIS. Deepfake technology uses artificial intelligence to insert another person's face into a video. Meanwhile, Ki-seon is the next target of assassination, and the mastermind behind it is suspected to be Cheon-woo. However, his motive is still unclear. Pil-ho manages to track Ki-seon's whereabouts and receives a phone call from Ji-hyuk, requesting to meet with Ki-seon. Pil-ho sets up a special team for Ji-hyuk and asks Jae to work with him to catch Ji-hyuk. Using the help of someone from the deepfake project, Ji-hyuk manipulates images of himself on CCTV videos. This confuses Pil-ho as he sees Soo-yeon's face instead of Ji-hyuk's. With this, Ji-hyuk is able to take Ki-seon away safely. Ki-seon later explains to Ji-hyuk that the NIS forces defectors from the military to do dirty work. Ki-seon's investigation leads her to a private organization called the Sangmuho Organization, which consists of retired NIS agents. It is revealed that the organization is the mastermind behind the attack on Ji-hyuk and 2 other NIS agents while they were serving in China. With Ki-seon's help, Ji-hyuk lures Chonwoo to meet him and shows him a photo of his whereabouts in Shenyang, along with a leaked list of agents. The evidence puts Chonwoo's position in jeopardy, especially if the Sangmuho organization discovers that he is a traitor. After obtaining evidence that could prove his innocence in Soo-yeon's shooting, Ji-hyuk sets out to get the original footage of himself during the incident. Jae contacts him and tells him that Soo-yeon has woken up. Ji-hyuk sends the original videotape to Jae while she is in the hospital, hoping to finally clear his name. The footage reveals that the true shooter was a man in a hat who walks by and shoots Soo-yeon. However, Ji-hyuk's hopes are quickly dashed when Jae confesses that she deleted the recording. He then goes to the ICU to visit Soo-yeon, only to discover that she had died hours before. Pilho and his team frame Ji-hyuk for her death, citing his unstable psychiatric condition, and he is held in isolation and forced to undergo rehabilitation. In the meantime, Chonwoo is killed by a gang leader named Baek Mo-sa for refusing to join him. After being released from rehab, Ji-hyuk confronts Jae and learns that Pilho ordered her to betray him by deleting the recording. Pilho used the leverage of Jae's father, whom he claims is alive and stranded in North Korea, to coerce her into helping him. Jae's investigation into Chonwoo's residence leads her to discover that he was a test subject in a research project called ZIP. The project aims to develop drugs for PTSD and is run internally. Upon hearing this, Ji-hyuk recalls the medicine he had taken and believes that it had erased his memories. They quickly start investigating all the information about the project to find out more. During their investigation, they examine Chonwoo's corpse and find dots made from UV ink on his body. These dots turn out to be a QR code that, once deciphered, reveals a rare disease that causes the skin and cartilage to harden. Jae also finds data on patients who suffer from this disease, including Chon Pyong-il, an important person in the world of intelligence agents and a founder of the CIA. To get more information, Ji-hyuk and Jae head to the Daejeon hospital where Pyong-il was once treated, but their search turns up nothing. They suspect that there may be a hidden floor in the hospital and begin to look for a way to access it. After reviewing the CCTV footage, Jae notices someone boarding a freight elevator and entering the secret floor by pressing buttons B1 and B2 simultaneously. Jae continues her investigation and manages to obtain access to the secret floor by paralyzing a guard and taking his key card. Once inside, she finds evidence that the floor is not for patients, but rather a cell used to confine someone. She also discovers a drug that can be used to put someone to death, adding to the mystery of the facility. Elsewhere, Ji-hyuk meets with Dong-kyeon, who is distributing the ZIP medicine, but Dong-kyeon reveals that Ji-hyuk himself had forced him to do so. A year ago, Dong-kyeon had taken out the medicine to uncover the mastermind behind the deaths of his agent friends, just like Ji-hyuk is doing now. Jae finds Pyong-il, a patient suffering from a rare disease that causes the skin and cartilage to harden, and suspects that he may be connected to the ZIP project. She manages to free him from his confinement, but Mo-sa's men block her escape and take Pyong-il away in an ambulance. In the middle of a bridge, Pyong-il is shot dead in front of Jae and Ji-hyuk. Mo-sa then throws a bomb at them, causing Ji-hyuk to lose consciousness and Jae to face Mo-sa alone. She is shocked to see a burn on Mo-sa's left hand that she recognizes, but Mo-sa shoots her before she can react. Fortunately, Jae is wearing a bulletproof vest and survives the attack. She suggests that Mo-sa may be her father, who had changed his face. Following the incident with Pyong-il, Ji-hyuk is convinced that Mo-sa is the killer of Chonwoo and not the Sangmuho organization. He believes that the 2 recent assassinations carried out by Mo-sa were meant to send a message to the Sangmuho. Jae tells Ji-hyuk that the last person Pyong-il contacted before the accident was someone from the NIS organization. To identify this person, Ji-hyuk threatens to meet him at a designated location. But when he finally meets the person, he is surprised to find out that it is Pilho, which confuses him even more about Pilho's involvement in the case. That night, Dong-kyeon receives a new video that contains a confession from himself. In the video, he admits that Kim Dong-wook, one of his colleagues who died, was a team traitor. This revelation leaves Ji-hyuk and Jae even more confused about the events surrounding Chonwoo's death. Meanwhile, Lee In-won, a NIS official, reveals to Jae that her father was sold to North Korea. This news shocks Jae and raises more questions about her past. After getting the project number and password related to her father's sale from In-won, Jae is shocked to discover that Jin-suk is responsible for what happened to her father. Jae confronts Jin-suk, pointing a gun at her, but Jin-suk remains silent, challenging Jae to pull the trigger if she is convinced of the accusation. Jae hesitates, realizing that this could be part of In-won's plan to frame Jin-suk. The following day, In-won inserts Jae into his team, which is responsible for tracking Mo-sa. Jae and her new team manage to stalk and wiretap Jin-suk, who is meeting with Mo-sa to clear up a misunderstanding between them. Ji-hyuk rushes to the location to track down the sniper who is targeting Mo-sa. During the meeting, Mo-sa becomes the target of a shooting. One of his bodyguards is hit by a bullet, and moments later, a bomb explodes, injuring Jin-suk. Ji-hyuk takes advantage of the situation to extract information from Mo-sa, who claims to know more about him. However, Mo-sa's only intention is to find his enemy and eliminate him, leaving Ji-hyuk even more agitated. In the aftermath of the failed operation, tensions rise within In-won's team as they realize Ji-hyuk has foiled their plans. However, Jae-yi proves to be a valuable asset as she hatches a plan to gather as much information as possible from the team. Meanwhile, Jin-suk regains consciousness and reveals to Jae-yi that In-won and Mo-sa are planning to prevent the defection of Ri Dong-chol to South Korea. She orders Dong-wook to kill Dong-chol to prevent his defection. Ji-hyuk and Dong-kyeon hatch a plan to take down In-won and his team, using one of his own men, Jong Yong-tae, who is an NIS agent. Yong-tae also exposes In-won's past crimes from 10 years ago, revealing that he was the one who sent Mo-sa to the north instead of Jin-suk. In this latest turn of events, tensions continue to rise between In-won and the NIS as he threatens the CEO of Planet, Shin Soo-young, who is trying to tighten information security systems. Meanwhile, Ji-hyuk plans to find Soo-young to gain access to data, but In-won is one step ahead, revealing that the executive director had previously ordered him and his team to interfere with the election, manipulate public opinion, and spy on people. In-won suggests that he and his team were allowed to take the fall and destroy the reputation of the NIS organization. In order to convince Ji-hyuk to back down, In-won threatens to kill Jae-yi, forcing Ji-hyuk to indulge him. However, things take a turn when Pil-ho calls Ji-hyuk and their conversation is overheard by the entire executive director. Dong-kyeon then shows Ji-hyuk video footage that reveals he was the one who killed his two comrades, a fact that shocks everyone, especially Ji-hyuk, who doesn't remember the incident. As Ji-hyuk tries to recall the tragic events that led to the deaths of his comrades, he remembers asking them to lurk from two different places. Shortly after, Ji-hyuk is in a race against time to contact his two comrades, but all his attempts fail. With mounting tension, he rushes to their hotel room, where he finds Dong-wook standing over Ri Dong-chol's dead body. Despite his insistence that he didn't kill him, Ji-hyuk suspects otherwise. As they try to make their escape from the North Korean security forces, Ji-hyuk notices a growing animosity between Dong-wook and Kyung-sok, who seem to be pointing weapons at each other. Suddenly, Dong-wook opens fire and kills Kyung-sok, accusing him of being a traitor involved in the plot to bring Ri Dong-chol to South Korea and disrupt the election. The situation becomes even more volatile when Dong-wook trains his gun on Ji-hyuk, intending to shoot Chon-woo, who has suddenly appeared behind him. In a split second, Ji-hyuk reacts by firing a shot that kills Dong-wook, unaware that he was about to be attacked. The trust and doubts between them have destroyed everything they once had, leaving Ji-hyuk with only one goal in mind: to find and expose the traitor in the NIS organization. Ji-hyuk decides to disappear, knowing that he has become a target himself. But he remains determined to track down the traitor, despite knowing that the odds are against him. Ji-hyuk is struggling to cope with his emotions and the betrayal he has experienced at the hands of In-won and Pil-ho. In a moment of rage, he almost kills In-won, but Jae-yi intervenes and stops him. Unfortunately, Ji-hyuk is then arrested and placed in a special room, while Jae-yi is released. Despite being in custody, Ji-hyuk's spirits are lifted when Jae-yi visits him and assures him of her unwavering belief in his innocence. It turns out that Ji-hyuk and his fellow agents were actually pawns in a larger game of betrayal orchestrated by their superiors. Pil-ho, who has now come clean about his involvement in the plot, teams up with Ji-hyuk to take down In-won. Together with Dong-kyeon, they devise a plan to expose In-won's corruption using evidence of a case of car hacking that resulted in several important people being killed. They hope that this will be a weakness they can exploit, given that In-won's company is currently in the business of handling personal data. However, their efforts are thwarted when In-won uses his power to prevent the law from passing. Ji-hyuk and Pil-ho then turn to Soo-young, who they believe has evidence of In-won's corruption. Initially resistant, Soo-young eventually agrees to cooperate after hearing a wiretap recording of In-won planning to have someone murdered. In-won is finally arrested by the authorities, but he remains defiant and refuses to talk. Ji-hyuk then asks Jae-yi to investigate one of In-won's closest associates, Kim Jin-young, who they suspect may be involved in the larger conspiracy. In the meantime, Ji-hyuk meets with In-won, who reveals that the mastermind behind Ri Dong-chol's murder is actually Mo-sa. In-won claims that Mo-sa had ulterior motives and deliberately set up the assassination in order to trap NIS agents and bring down the entire organization. That night, Ji-hyuk accidentally crossed paths with Jin-young, In-won's colleague. He thought he had found a critical piece to the puzzle he was trying to solve. But Jae-yi told him that she was following Jin-young to the airport, making him realize that the person he saw was not whom he thought they were. It turned out to be Mo-sa in disguise, and he was there to kill In-won. When Ji-hyuk returned to the detention room, he found In-won hanging by a thread. He managed to save In-won, but he knew that Mo-sa was the missing link to solving the mystery. Jin-suk, feeling responsible, formed a special team that included Ji-hyuk and Jae-yi to capture Mo-sa. However, Ji-hyuk was concerned for Jae-yi's safety and asked her to stay out of the mission, but she refused to back down, even though Mo-sa turned out to be her father. Ji-hyuk and Jae-yi worked together to locate Mo-sa's hideout. Jin-suk deployed his team, including a SWAT team, to ambush Mo-sa at the location. Inevitably, shooting erupted between the two groups. Ji-hyuk had already confronted Mo-sa when he realized there was a bomb set to detonate. The explosion triggered not only one bomb but an electromagnetic bomb that wiped out all electronic devices. The team monitoring the situation lost contact, and they rushed out to find Ji-hyuk facing Mo-sa, who had a gun pointed at him. After narrowly escaping Mo-sa's attack, Ji-hyuk and Jae-yi joined forces with Jin-suk to plan a trap for Mo-sa. They discover that Mo-sa plans to target Jin-suk during a speech he is giving at Seoul's National Cemetery, where military officials and agents will also be present. Jin-suk agrees to be a decoy to lure Mo-sa out, giving the team a chance to apprehend him. As they prepare for the event, Ji-hyuk and Jae-yi learn more about Mo-sa's past and his struggles with a traumatic disorder that caused him to lose his identity. Ji-hyuk convinces Jae-yi that she may be the only one who can help Mo-sa resuscitate his true self. Meanwhile, tensions rise as the team waits for Mo-sa's arrival, unsure of what he may have planned. During the event, Jin-suk gives a moving speech as a representative of the victim's family. However, behind the scenes, he is ready to put his plan into action. As the team keeps a watchful eye out for any signs of Mo-sa, Ji-hyuk notices a suspicious figure and quickly takes them down. Upon inspection, they find that the figure was equipped with a time bomb. In a different place, Jae-yi manages to find an electromagnetic bomb in a truck and suspects that Mo-sa might be behind it. However, Ji-hyuk falls for Mo-sa's trap and believes that the bomb is just a hoax. Meanwhile, Jae-yi's own electromagnetic bomb cripples all communication systems and electronic devices around the building area, causing chaos and confusion. She learns that Mo-sa is heading to the Hanan Bank data center to delete all financial data from Korea's largest bank. Through a video message, Mo-sa gives the National Intelligence Service an ultimatum: either save the bank's data or rescue the 33 officers he is holding hostage. He gives them just 3 hours before the hostages will be killed. Mo-sa's true intentions become clear. He wants to reveal the country's mistreatment of its citizens in the past, and he knows that if the bank's data is destroyed, it could cause widespread chaos and even more deaths. The NIS is left with a difficult choice, forced to make decisions beyond ethics and morals in order to protect the majority. The government urges the NIS to find the electromagnetic bomb before military intervention becomes necessary. Ji-hyuk and Jae-yi manage to infiltrate the basement floor of the bank and locate the bomb. After examining it, Jae-yi believes that it is empty and concludes that it was a hoax. But Ji-hyuk realizes that Mo-sa's plan is far more sinister than they first thought. He knows that Mo-sa will eventually kill the hostages anyway. This leaves them with only one choice. They must focus on rescuing the hostages as quickly as possible. Pilho urges Jin-suk to change their plans and focus on saving the hostages. To find out where the hostages are being held, Jae-yi plays her father's favorite song on every floor of the building through the broadcast room. Her attempt to lure Mo-sa succeeds, and he shows up to confront them. While carrying a detonator where he had taken several hostages, Mo-sa demanded to meet with Ji-hyuk on the roof of the building. Despite Ji-hyuk's reluctance, he was left with no choice but to comply. However, Mo-sa shot Ji-hyuk in the leg upon their meeting, leaving him helpless. When negotiations failed, Mo-sa prepared to detonate the bomb, but he saw his daughter Jae-yi among the hostages through a monitor. Jae-yi had the plan to try and reach out to her father and affect him from within the group of hostages. Ji-hyuk saw an opportunity when Mo-sa was distracted and quickly incapacitated him. He then seized the detonator from Mo-sa's hand, but Mo-sa informed him that it was not actually a detonator, but a tool to stop the bomb's timer. Mo-sa had set the bomb to detonate automatically within 3 hours. Ji-hyuk was left with a difficult decision to make. He had to determine whether Mo-sa was telling the truth or lying to buy time. If he made the wrong choice, all the hostages, including Jae-yi, would be killed. Meanwhile, the NIS director monitoring from the control room orders the shooter to disable Ji-hyuk, adding to the pressure and intensity of the situation. But Ji-hyuk chooses to believe Mo-sa's claim and risks his life by pressing the button to stop the bomb along with the sniper's shot. Ji-hyuk is successful in his attempt, but he is left badly injured. He urges Jae-yi to meet her father before it's too late. As she rushes to his side, Mo-sa reveals a devastating truth: he had been using the identity of his partner who had died for him, and he is consumed by guilt. However, seeing his daughter again causes memories of his past to come flooding back, and he begins to relive moments from his life with her. In his final moments, Mo-sa takes his last breath in front of Jae-yi. In the meantime, Ji-hyuk's brave decision to expose the corruption of the Sangmuho organization and the NIS is a turning point in the story. His actions lead to a public outcry and a call for justice, and he becomes a symbol of the fight against corruption. After his public address, Ji-hyuk is taken to the hospital where he's treated for his injuries. As he recovers, he's visited by Jae and Mo-sa's daughter, who expresses her gratitude for his bravery. She tells him that her father's sacrifice was not in vain and that she's proud of him. Meanwhile, Jae has been promoted to the position of division leader in the NIS. She's determined to continue the fight against corruption and to ensure that the agency serves the people, not the powerful few. Pil-ho, on the other hand, is in prison, where he's forced to confront the consequences of his actions. He begins to regret his involvement with the Sangmuho and tries to make amends by cooperating with the authorities. Ji-hyuk, who has just been released from custody, returns to his apartment and starts going through his belongings. He comes across a photo of Jae and his former teammate, bringing back a flood of memories. To his surprise, he also finds letters that Jae wrote specifically to him, which he had never read before. While Jae is filled with hesitation but eventually musters up the courage to contact Ji-hyuk first. She expects her to call to go unanswered, but to her surprise, Ji-hyuk picks up the phone and warmly greets her. Jae's letter to Ji-hyuk expresses her true feelings for him. She confesses that time has not faded her memories of him, but has only made them sharper and clearer. She realizes that she cannot forget him and that she wants to be with him. Ji-hyuk, true to his character as a dedicated agent, is determined to continue the struggle of his dead comrades. He knows that it's not just about his fallen comrades or his country, but it's also about himself. The moral of the story is to always keep a spare encryption key handy in case you need to expose a secret organization and then immediately pass out from the effort. And don't trust secret societies, but if you do, always make sure to have a backup plan, a trusted friend, and a catchy theme song.